Ever had that feeling?
Hmm.
Where something just feels off, like subtly wrong around you.
Like you blinked and missed something changing.
Exactly. Well, today on the Deep Dive, we're looking at a story that takes that feeling way further, literally slipping between realities.
Right. We've got this text about a man, Marcus, whose emotions, his feelings, actually trigger jumps into parallel universes. Wild stuff.
So our mission basically is to unpack this. Marcus and his, what's it called? The parallel fault.
That's the term the story uses, yeah. We want to get into the mechanics of it, how it works in this narrative.
And how it affects him, right? The constant shifting, the emotional toll.
Definitely. And maybe what this, fictional setup tells us about dealing with overwhelming emotions in our own lives, or even identity.
Okay, so decoding the emotional sci-fi of Marcus's life. I like it. So it starts small, doesn't it? These first shifts.
Yeah, almost unnoticeable at first. Triggered by missing this person, Ella. A real ache, the text says.
What happens? What's the actual shift?
Well, it's subtle but undeniable. The wallpaper color changes. Suddenly there's a photo of him and Ella, but it's different. A past he doesn't recognize.
Wow. So it's like his internal feeling directly changes the external world instantly.
It seems that way in the story's logic, yeah.
Yeah.
Like his emotional state is somehow powerful enough to reshape reality around him, or at least which reality he perceives.
It's not like huge explosions, but these tiny things that would mess with your head more, I think.
Oh, absolutely, that constant doubt. And it's not just sadness triggering it, is it?
No, the text mentions others. Anger, nostalgia,
Mm-hmm.
even feeling triumphant.
Right. It suggests any strong emotion, any significant emotional charge can act like a key.
A key to another reality.
Pretty much. And the frequency picks up, right? It says sometimes dozens of times a day.
Dozens. How could you even live? How could you hold down a job or anything?
It paints a picture of utter chaos. No stability, no way to plan or even just...
And the places he goes. They're not just slightly different, are they? We get some weirder examples.
Oh, yeah. Much weirder. Like a reality with a second moon in the sky.
A second moon, okay.
Or one where everyone has to wear gloves. Mandatory. Just part of life there.
Strange. And backward clocks.
Backward ticking clocks, yeah. These details really hammer home how different these parallel worlds can be, even if they started from, a similar point.
Small changes snowballing into huge differences makes you think about our own normal.
Exactly, how fragile it might be.
So naturally, Marcus tries to get help, tries to figure this out. Doctors, physicists.
Right, he seeks out experts, even mystics, the text says.
Yeah.
But it's basically futile.
Why? What's the main block?
Well, the unpredictability. How can you explain it to a doctor if mid-explanation you just vanish into another reality?
Right, you can't get consistent data. You can't even finish a conversation reliably.
Precisely. So he ends up incredibly isolated. No one shares his experience. No one can truly understand because they're stuck in their stable reality.
And then there's Ella. The different versions of her he keeps meeting. That feels particularly cruel.
It's a huge emotional burden. He meets Ellis, who are married to someone else. Ellis who don't know him at all.
Ones where she's died or never even existed.
Oh, yeah. Each one is like a fresh stab, isn't it? A reminder of his Ella, the one he lost, and all these other lives he isn't part of.
The text calls it accumulating guilt. Like he's carrying ghosts of all these possibilities.
It's a powerful image, constantly haunted by infinite what-ifs.
Until Juno shows up
Hmm.
and she sees him. She knows what he is.
Instantly. Her first words are something like, "You're leaking. Your signature. You're not from here."
Leaking.
Grr.
Wow. So she can perceive this interdimensional stuff.
Apparently. It suggests she has a unique sensitivity. Maybe she's part of a group or has some tech. It's not entirely clear, but she gets it.
And she has that metal band, the tether. That helps immediately.
Yeah, it seems to stabilize him right away, like it counteracts whatever is making him jump.
So Juno gives him an explanation, this parallel fault and him being porous. What do we make of those terms?
They sound like the story's internal jargon, The fault seems to be some kind of weakness or thin spot between realities.
And porous.
That suggests Marcus himself has this inherent quality where his emotional energy just slips through that fault easily. Makes him a shiftwalker, as she calls them.
Shiftwalkers, so there are others.
It implies that, yeah, maybe they handle it differently or have more control. Or less.
So the band helps, but Juno says the real fix is managing emotions. Not stopping them, but balancing them.
Exactly. She uses this analogy, taming a wild beast.
I like that. So don't kill the beast, just Learn to ride it.
Something like that. Acknowledge the power of the emotions, integrate them, but don't let them throw you into another dimension. It's about finding equilibrium.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But Marcus, he has other ideas, doesn't he? He wants to use this.
Yeah, his focus shifts. He thinks, okay, if I can jump, maybe I can control the jumps. Maybe I can find my Ella again, or a perfect version.
And Juno warns him against that. Big time.
She does. She sees the danger. First, messing with it intentionally could just make things worse, more unstable.
And second.
Second, even if he found an Ella who seemed perfect, she wouldn't be his Ella. It would be an illusion, right, based on displacement, not a real connection.
But he doesn't listen. He gets obsessed.
Totally obsessed. He starts deliberately triggering shifts, trying to navigate, searching through countless realities.
It takes a toll on him.
Right.
The text mentions some pretty bad consequences.
Oh, yeah. It starts breaking him down. Memory gaps appear. He's losing chunks of his own history.
Physically, too.
It even says his reflection starts to look unrecognizable sometimes. Like his actual identity, his physical self, is fragmenting from all the jumping.
That's terrifying. Losing yourself piece by piece, trying to find something else.
It really paints a picture of the danger in chasing ideals, doesn't it?
Then he lands somewhere. Somewhere that seems almost right. And Ella's there.
Yeah, he finds a reality that feels incredibly close to his original one. And there she is. Seems like his Ella.
That must have been an incredible moment for him after everything.
Absolutely. Overwhelming relief, joy. Finally, he thinks he's done it. He's found her.
But that huge emotional peak, it triggers something else.
It does, but not another jump outwards. This time, it's a cataclysmic shift inward.
A collapse.
Inward, what does that mean? What's it like?
He describes it like falling into a void, a sort of between space. And it's filled with swirling fragments, countless versions of himself and Ella, all breaking apart.
Like the ultimate breakdown of his reality and identity.
Exactly. It's like he's forced to confront the shattered pieces, the impossibility of putting it all back together perfectly, the result of his relentless search.
And then Juno's voice cuts through.
Yes. In that chaos, he hears her, and she gives him this key piece of advice.
Which is?
Center yourself, not on her, on you.
Ah, that feels like the whole point almost.
It really is pivotal. All this time, he's been focused externally finding her, changing his reality. Juno forces him to look inward.
To find his anchor in himself, not in someone else or some other place. Precisely. To accept his own feelings, let them settle, without clinging or pushing them away. That's the path back to stability.
And it works. He manages it.
He does. He finds that center, lets the emotional storm pass through him rather than controlling him, and then he returns.
Returns where?
To a reality it's raining, the text says, and Juno is there. And so is Ella, his original Ella.
Wow. So he gets back to his actual home reality.
It seems so. And he has this profound realization. It's not about finding the right Ella in some other universe.
It's
about being the person here now who can be with this Ella, focusing on himself, on the present, on the relationship he actually have.
Embracing his current reality instead of trying to escape it.
That's the core of it, cultivating presence and commitment.
But the story ends by saying the tremor is still there. And he still has the band.
Yeah, they remain. It's not like he's magically cured. The potential to shift, that instability, it's still part of him.
Like remind.
Exactly. Reminders of the journey, and maybe reminders that staying present, managing those emotions, it's an ongoing choice. A conscious effort he has to keep making.
He has to choose again and again to stay, to work on things here.
Yes. That active choice is key.
So, looking back at this whole wild ride Marcus went through, what are the main things we should take away from this story? What does it leave you thinking about?
Well, for me, it really highlights the sheer power of our emotions, doesn't it? How they shape our perception, maybe even our reality, in ways we don't always realize.
And the danger of getting lost chasing ideals, that perfect past or future.
Absolutely. The allure is strong, but the story shows how illusory and damaging that chase can be. It really pushes the idea of self-acceptance, finding your anchor within yourself.
And being present, right here, right now.
That seems to be the ultimate lesson Marcus learns. Stability isn't out there somewhere else. It's built inside, in the reality you actually inhabit.
It definitely makes you think. Have you ever felt, completely overwhelmed by emotions, like your whole world felt different?
We all have moments like that, I think. Or times when you idealize the past, or worry endlessly about the future.
So what can we learn from Marcus about navigating our own internal shifts, even if we're not literally jumping universes?
Maybe it's about recognizing that internal tremor, acknowledging the pull towards escape or wishing things were different.
But then consciously choosing to center ourselves, like Juno told Marcus.
Yeah. Focusing on you here and now, maybe that parallel fault isn't just a sci-fi concept.
What do you mean?
Perhaps it's a metaphor, for those cracks within us, the struggles we have accepting ourselves, accepting our lives as they are, imperfections and all.
That's a really interesting thought to chew on. Could our own internal struggles be a kind of parallel fault? Wow.
Something to consider anyway? How we choose to navigate that fault line in our own lives.
Definitely food for thought. Well, thank you for taking us through Marcus's chaotic journey. A lot to unpack there.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating narrative.
Indeed. Okay, well, until our next deep dive, keep exploring those ideas.